You remember that they're changing my voice. So this should be part 24 of my Sense series. And this part is about why it's best for all people, including and especially rich whites, Jews, and LGBT people, rich Asians, what have you, rich people in general, for them to pass my war on poverty plan. I have another plan for $2.5 trillion for building farms and buying farm equipment and starting a massive food program in every country around the world, and massive job programs for those countries that, like Yemen, that might have trouble having enough farmland. I don't know, but that's something that we can figure out with the details. Okay, so 2.5 trillion over 10 years, 1 trillion the first year. And keep in mind, when you add up all the developed nations and all the money they have just lying around with rich people in offshore accounts. As one person did a report where they said that 35 people in groups had somewhere between 5 trillion and 30 trillion in money in offshore accounts, right? That they're not paying taxes on it. Who knows? Might be prostitution money, blood money. It's hard to say what it is. So there's tons of money there. Even if there's no money in offshore accounts, these plans are doable. Okay, the 5.4, I believe it should change to a 5.48 trillion plan with $260 billion the first year. Okay, where 20 billion to 40 billion of that goes to assist the global war on poverty, because people in other countries are more hungry and desperate than they are in America, is the general rule of thumb. And there'll be plenty of money to build tiny homes and have food programs and stuff in America. And after that, it'd be $180 billion a year. Okay, and would lead up to redistributing 10% of the richest wealth relative to the wealth proportions, right, of the wealthy in 2022. If you have any questions about that, the numbers check out. I assure you, please put in the comments. I have videos about this. I want to keep on the topic here, and we're already a couple minutes into this video. So what are the reasons that it's best for white people, Jews, LGBT people, especially rich white people, to redistribute, okay, that much money, which is not the same as communism. It's just a very logical plan to help people in need. There's still rich people and poor people every step of the way in the plan. That's just poor people aren't dying of hunger. They're not homeless, what have you. Hey, first of all, let's look at it in terms of power. So some people say, well, why should we give up power? There's 22.5 million millionaires and billionaires in America. 600 of them are billionaires. So there's 600 plus billionaires in America. Okay, that's over 10 per state. Okay, over 10 per state. In fact, over 11 per state. And in California, okay, 1 in 9 people are said to be in California. So there's like 100 billionaires plus in California. You think those people as individuals call shots? Maybe their wives, maybe their children. They have family members too. And there's 22.5 million plus millionaires in America as well. There's 50 governors, there's presidents and former presidents and vice presidents and Congress and state assembly and on, mayors and police and generals and CIA director, FBI director, all kinds of people, right? There's all kinds of people that are expressing quote-unquote power. So how much power do they have as an individual? So for a McDonald's Happy Meal worth of power, so to speak, okay, you're going to cause all these people to suffer and you expect people to respect that? What kind of message does that send to your family, to your groups? What does it say about your groups, your races, your religions, your martial art groups, your militaries? What kind of message does it send about your government? Is having corrupt politicians something that you want? Next is the money. What happens when there's a bunch of rich people who are getting richer and there's a bunch of poor people who are getting poor? It's like a concentration camp, right? It's what I call the concentration camp effect. Okay, you have a bunch of rich, arrogant people who may as well be Nazis. And you have poor people who may as well be in a concentration camp. And you're like, yes, we're so special. Oh, geez, they're complaining for no reason. And it makes you look really bad. And if image doesn't matter to you, then why buy the fancy cars? Why buy the fancy jewelry, the fancy clothes? Why buy the fancy houses? So obviously your image matters to you for the most part, right? There's a Scrooge McDuck effect. You can figure out what that is. There's the wealth gap, which is the label of oppressors. Who wants to be a rich oppressor? Your old Bible says better to be lowly in spirit with the poor than to share plunder with the proud. So why would you think that what you're doing is good for you? Okay, And keep in mind, there'll still be rich people and poor people. And everyone, there's a Martin Luther King Day, the Black Panther movie, right? Obama was the president. You're not going to lose everything if you admit who I am. Okay. There's the cost of housing that also makes the governing class and rich people look bad. People resent rich people for that. A lot of people are probably swearing up and down that they'll never marry a rich person right now because of how their government treated them. How their economy treated them. Okay, the main cause of homelessness is the cost of housing. They've done studies, and I believe those studies. When I look at this, it's like, okay, there's a lot of mentally ill people everywhere. They're not necessarily homeless. The cost of housing is the main cause of homelessness. That's why there's like 1 in 7 people who are homeless are children. They're from families because they can't afford, the cost of housing. Some people are homeless, have jobs in various ways to get money. Okay. There's other reasons as well. I'm going to keep this short here. I know some of my reasons are more insulting than others, and so I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm trying to just solve the problem here. That's part of why I want other people to work with me, because I've been harassed for years. I've been doing this for a long time, and I apologize if the tone of my voice at times seems too antagonistic, but I am persecuted. Okay. So there's sexual control. Some people might say, well, you can get any woman you want. First of all, there's 8 billion, almost 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion with a B. One can't be everywhere at once. So if you live in London or DC or California, you're telling me you're sexually controlling someone from across the world, or even across the state, even across the city. You're probably not doing much in that regard. And there's all these other people you're splitting power with as well. And that becomes a much larger number when you look at it globally. Okay? Now, what happens to your marriages if you're sexually controlling people? If you got married to someone you coerced, is that how you build a family? That degrades families. It's not protecting the women and your children. You want your poor family members to be treated that way? It's not good for you. It's not good for whites, Jews, LGBT, or anyone else. It's not good for rich people. What's the point of having that money if you got to prostitute your whole families and have invalid marriages and you look bad and look evil? It's not making sense. It's not adding up. Then there's the competition argument. They say, well, we're winning and they're losing. Okay, it may as well be a pie-eating contest, okay? Because people don't respect the argument that these rich people who, it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? And who you blow, okay? That these rich people magically, while playing golf, worked harder and outmaneuvered other people. No, they just leveraged, their network more often than not, or they lucked out. They don't see it as you being smarter than other people. That's outrageous. Even in the Bible, they talk about, the mark of the beast, 666, and there's Solomon's 666 talents gold tax, where gold is also said to stand for wisdom in the Bible. 666, right? Store wealth in heaven. Have talents from God, not some BS, whether or not the churches agree with you or not. They'll see through it. And if they didn't, the reality of the situation is you're not outmaneuvering anybody but yourselves. We see in Proverbs 16:12, it says the throne is established in righteousness. By now you should know that I'm right. Maybe you have some questions about the War on Poverty plan. I'm more than happy to answer it. More than happy. I'm more than happy to work with people, to organize, to get people to do this. Even though I'm the top martial artist, okay, I can't change the hearts of the world by myself. Okay? God willing, if you organize with me, we can get this stuff accomplished. Thank you.